Today we have a philosophical question: when is a leak not a leak? Is it still a leak if Games Workshop accidentally includes rules for something that isn't released in a PDF that has been put out designed to make it easier for you to get into the newest version of their game? Or is it only really a proper leak if some sort of covert undercover agent goes in there, gets the information out and sends it, usually, to Valrak? Is that a leak, or are both of them leaks? Either way, this one is entirely on Games Workshop, because now we know that Adeptus ARBITES are on the way. Arbites? It's not Arbites, because every time I've said that in the past, people have shouted at me, which is correct. I mean, we don't say Adeptus Astartes, it's Astartes. We don't say Custodes, it's Custodes. So you would think that Arbites would be the right way to do it, but I'm going to say Arbites anyway, because I know it's going to annoy some of you. And surely that's the kind of obstinate, annoying, pissy attitude that we need to be approaching 2023 with. Anyway, this is kind of exciting. I feel like we know exactly what that particular silhouette was in the little teaser video that we looked at the other day, because it was a lad with a shield that wasn't a Space Marine, and now we have this keyword in this PDF, which was drawn up so that we can learn how to make boarding action forces, which I'm really excited about, by the way. Mild tangent here, because of course that never happens on this channel. I am actually really excited about boarding actions, because they're so... It looks like... Look at this. Okay, we've got HQ, we've got troops, we've got elites. You can have 0 to 1, 0 to 3, 0 to 3. That is so much scope for just creating fun, small forces that could be like super heavily kit bashed and converted without having to do a full army of them to be able to play with them. The fact that it's so free whether you need a HQ or not, that is massive to me. I mean, admittedly, I'm going to have an HQ in pretty much every force that I do for this, because I like making very characterful HQs who are usually useless but look grand. But this is like, as someone who enjoys the process of kit bashing and converting and finds doing it for a whole force, especially if it's a lot of infantry, kind of draining and demotivating, and I find it easy to get distracted by other things. This is perfect. 500 points where you can just come up with something mad and then you're done. You've got your army, it's sorted. This I like a lot, and the fact that it's specifically built around the smaller engagements, that's perfect for me. I mean, I know that smaller games of 40k exist, but let's be honest, most people not interested in playing 500 points. They don't want that. Whereas this is specifically built for that, and it's already given me loads of ideas for small, coherent forces that I could put together that I'm really looking forward to tackling. Also, it feels like they're really not being that prescriptive about it either, because, as they say here, in some cases, there are units that aren't HQ, troops or elites, but they wanted to include anyway because they're cool. You're talking my language right now. You are absolutely talking my language. Being able to take Crisis battlesuits, but not fly because Crisis battlesuits are awesome, I'm in. I'm 100% in. Let's go. Finally give me an excuse to finish off that horrible possessed Farsight model I started ages ago. Anyway, they have given away the fact that you're going to have some Adeptus ARBITES on the way, which makes me super happy. They specifically call out having things like Acolyte units, Navis Imperialis troops units, so those presumably going to be the breaches that we saw from Kill Team, I think it was. I mean, this is shaping up to be able to actually create a really fun and interesting, like, Inquisition warband, like a proper little inquisitorial force. I mean, that's just a range that as a whole feels like it's been very neglected over the years. There's just not much going on in that side of things. We've got some cool new assassins, yes, but things like acolytes are just built from whatever you've got lying around. The fact that we now have those breacher squads and we have our bites on the way means that we actually might be able to make something really fun for the Inquisition. It really does make me hopeful that perhaps the Inquisition tab and the Officio Assassinorum tab might disappear. That we might finally get an Agents of the Imperium tab under which things like breaches and Arbites and acolytes could go, and we might actually start to see a bit more support for what is, frankly, a kind of abandoned and forgotten line of models here. I mean, yeah, these are great. We do have some really good looking Inquisitors, but they're old. For the most part, they're old. We have a slightly newer Inquisitor in the form of Greyfax. Of course there is Eisenhorn. We do have a newer still version in the form of Caria Draxus. But outside of those three, we're looking at Karamazov, who is absolutely ancient. I think that's the model he had when I started playing the game in 3rd edition. Kotyaz, again, great model, absolutely brilliant, ancient as hell. Same thing with the Inquisitor with Inferno Pistol and Power Sword. They're just really getting on a bit. We even had new Crusader models. I think maybe it was one Crusader model from a different game. I forget which of the various spin-off games they've done that was in, but that exists, but we just don't have any access to it. It would be silly, I think, to get overexcited about the idea that 2 words there, or specifically keywords, might lead to the revitalization of an entire section of the Imperium forces as a whole, especially when we have so many Xenos forces who, frankly, could still do with significant updates. But just that little area being fleshed out in any way makes me happy, because it's one part of the tabletop that has kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of keeping up with the lore side of the game. We constantly come back to the example of Traitor Guard and to the example of Dark Mechanicus as being things that are quite big in the universe but have no representation, and this is no different to that. The Inquisition is a vast part of how the Imperium stays in power, and things like the Arbites are really key in terms of maintaining law and order for the Imperium, but they just don't have any presence on the tabletop. The fact that this exists means that that's going to be changed, and that just makes me happy. The question is, are you excited to see what happens with these? Are you excited about the boarding patrols, like the boarding actions? Is that something you can see yourself getting into? It's kind of rekindling my desire to play the game somewhat. Still doing a lot of modelling, still doing a lot of painting, but not playing as much as I used to. Whereas this, I could see myself getting into this very, very easily. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which can use to support the channel if you'd like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.